Yeah, I saved it already.
Okay, you are on a laptop, right?
Yes.
Yeah, on the bottom left, you see something called a stop video.
Yes.
Okay, there is an upward arrow there, up arrow in that.
Yeah.
Okay, click on that, choose virtual background.
No, I'm not getting that option. So it looks like if my laptop is old.
When you have stop video and when you click the up arrow, what are the options you see?
I see the same as system and USB 2.0 camera.
No, what are the footers you see there? Mute, stop video, security, something like that.
Manage participant share screen and advanced sharing
You are seeing
options.
when you say stop video, you don't get integrated webcam. You get
Yeah, there is an arrow which is going up, and
yeah.
then there is only two options there: USB 2.0 camera and the same as system.
Okay, okay. So not very sure.
Because
we have sent the YouTube link also for the seminar in the group. You may want to share it with your WhatsApp group of your members.
Yeah, we should do that.
It has been sent to the group now by Ajay.
So we are just left with 2 minutes, right?
Yeah, maybe we can give about 5 minutes more. It's fine.
Okay.
Vivek has
Good
not
morning,
joined.
everybody.
Vivek is there, yeah. Good morning, boss.
तो ये सबको अनम्यूट का ऑप्शन कैसे मिल रहा है? How can I unmute myself?
Sorry?
Am I co-host? How can I unmute myself?
Because you are co-host, right?
No, we will make him just joined. We are making him co-host.
No. Am I supposed to be co-host? Because okay, but other members will not be, right?
No, only the chairpersons of the chapter and the people identified to be doing some roles are going to be made co-host, including the speaker.
Okay, fine. I think we are just 1 minute away.
We have about 47 people, so let us give about 5 minutes into the session.
Yeah, fine.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
So all set for this international forum. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is truly international, huh?
I am a bit hesitant to post anything in the overseas group because there is a big event happening in the United States. So we don't want to.
I think ours is bigger. We are one chapter more than them.
Absolutely, boss.
If Mahesh is not want to sharing, I will share it. No problem.
So what we can all do as co-host, we can also mute ourselves and unmute when we are requiring us to speak. Or
yep.
Right.
Ajay, we have.
Can we begin?
Yeah, we
Right.
have hit about 3/4 of a century, and the numbers are just climbing up. So I think it's we are good to go. We have all the co-host chairpersons and the speaker with us now.
Okay, thanks. So should we start?
Yes,
Okay,
Ajay.
good. Okay. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. I know that we have been, connected with so many countries. So I think we can see morning, afternoon, evening, and maybe somewhere it might be night also. So it's my privilege to welcome you all for the great session from our esteemed speaker and fellow CA Meenakshi Sundaram. Today's event has been jointly organized by the ICAI Overseas Chapter of Toronto, Ireland, Luxembourg, Tanzania, Bahrain, and United Kingdom. In the current environment where no one knows how the future is going to fold and everyone is worried about the future, we have organized this event on 15 invaluable laws of growth. As someone rightly said, best time to think about future is when the time is tough. William Arthur Watts said, the pessimist complains about the wind, the optimist expects it to change, and the realist adjusts the sails. And with these words, I would like to welcome our speaker, CA Meenakshi Sundaram, to start the event. Just a bit of house rules. We will keep all the participants on listen-only mode, and till our speaker finishes. If you have any question, please feel free to send the question to Sandeep Patkar, who is one of the co-hosts here, and you can send all the audio Q&As directly to Sandeep Patkar. And what we will do is we'll try our best to consolidate, because obviously we're going to receive lots of questions. Some of them might be repetition. So we'll consolidate and we'll ask the speaker to answer all your questions. And with this, sir, CA Meenakshi ji, you can start, sir. Thank you.
I request Amanji to introduce the speaker first. Sorry.
CA Amman Vora, if you are there, kindly requesting you to take on the role of introducing our esteemed speaker.
Amanji, you may be on mute.
Hello, good day to everyone from Tanzania. Yeah, our chairman Vishwanshu is going to actually introduce. So he's there. Yes, Vishwanshu ji.
Yes, as Ajay said, good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone, my fellow members. I am Vishwanshu Trivedi, current chairman of Dar es Salaam chapter. We have about 30 to 40 members in our chapter. Personal growth is an ongoing process of understanding and developing oneself. You cannot hear me? Hello?
We can hear you.
Okay. Personal growth is an ongoing process of understanding and developing oneself in order to achieve one's fullest potential. Personal development is a vital part in person's growth, maturity, success, and happiness. It is the foundation of emotional, physical, intellectual, and spiritual health. To aid the growth and add value to the members of the Toronto, Bahrain, UK, Luxembourg, Ireland, and Tanzania chapter of ICAI and their families, we bring to you an exclusive session on the 15 invaluable laws of growth by John C. Maxwell. John C. Maxwell is an internationally recognized leadership expert, speaker, and author who has sold over 16 million books. His organizations have trained more than 2 million leaders worldwide. Three of his books, the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership, Developing the Leader Within You, and the 21 Indispensable Qualities of a Leader, have each sold over 1 million copies. The speaker delivering the session is a fellow chartered accountant and a John Maxwell team certified coach, CA Meenakshi Sundaram. CA Meenakshi Sundaram is a chartered accountant and management accountant with over 22 years of experience in handling management accounting, finance, taxation, and HR. He is also a past chairperson of Bahrain chapter of ICI from the term 2014 to 2015. He is a John Maxwell team certified speaker, trainer, and coach. He is also Maxwell certified behavioral analyst trainer. In February 2018, CA Meenakshi spoke in front of nearly 2,500 John Maxwell trainer in Orlando, Florida. CA Meenakshi has also won several awards in Toastmaster contests. Recently, he won second place in the District 20 Bahrain, Kuwait, an international speech contest in 2019. CA Meenakshi is also an avid blogger who writes frequently in Medium, and few of his articles were published in Thrive Global, a Huffington startup. The John and Maxwell team is a group of Maxwell certified coaches, trainers, speakers, and professionals offering workshops, seminars, keynote speakers, and coaching to aid in personal and professional growth of individuals. With these few words, I introduce Mr. C.A. Meenakshi and invite him for his discourse on growth, value, etc.
Thank you, CA Vishwanshu Trivedi, for that introduction. Let me take the opportunity to thank. Am I audible?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, yes, you are.
Let me start by thanking Vivek Kapoor for this initiative first, and all the chapter chairpersons, CA Deep Mehta, Toronto, CA Mahesh Kumar, Bahrain chapter, CA Anjani, Ireland, CA Ajay Kumar, London, and CA Vishwanshu Trivedi, Tanzania chapter, for making this a grand event. I'm really feel blessed to be doing this particular session to such a august and elite audience. Now I'll start with one question or two questions. The first question is, how is this relevant to me? In the sense, when I say me, it's all of us. That's a question that generally comes to our mind whenever we go for any of the sessions on leadership or personal growth. Is it relevant to me? Because sometimes when you look at probably in terms of the accomplishment, some of us are in the pinnacle of our career. So what is the relevance of a session on personal growth? The answer lies in the fact that, is there any area in our life where we still want to grow? Maybe it's personal, maybe relationship, maybe spiritual. As long as there is one area in our life where we intend to grow, this is applicable to us, this is relevant to us. The second question is, how can I grow? And that's what we are going to see in, we're going through this 15 invaluable laws of growth. Now I start with my story. After I completed my graduation, all of my friends, they decided to join chartered accountancy. So I also said, I'll also join CA. So that's when one of the senior chartered accountant in Madurai, my hometown, Mr. Manian, who happened to be a good friend of my father, he called me for a discussion. Then he asked me, what do you want to do? And I said, I want to become a chartered accountant. Then he asked, do you want to become a chartered accountant, or do you intend to become a chartered accountant? I was like, what's the difference? And he said, look into the dictionary and find the difference. And this is what I found. Both are verbs. Want, it says to wish for or desire. No, it's like a birthday wish. We want something, you know. Whereas intend, to fix the mind upon, or to mean to design, plan, purpose. So intent is more stronger. So I would say intent is basically want plus action. So we start this workshop with the first law of invaluable laws of growth, which is called law of intentionality. Because intention is where everything starts. Growth starts from the point that we have an intention to grow. It doesn't just happen. So only when we intend to grow, we would start growing. So why I am insisting on this point, intention? Because without intention also, growth can happen. It can happen actually in our life. Sometimes it happens. And that's an accidental growth. So we should know the difference between accidental growth and intentional growth. Now, accidental growth, generally, we delay. We don't want to take action. Whereas intentional growth, we start working on it. In accidental growth, we wait for the growth to come to us. Whereas in intentional growth, we take responsibility to grow. Accidental growth happens based on pure luck. Whereas intentional growth is based on our hard work. Now, when accidental growth happens, whenever we face a difficulty, we tend to quit. And it's quite often we quit. Whereas in intentional growth, we would continue, we would persevere long and hard. We would not give up. In accidental growth, the chances of some of us falling into bad habits and going away from our main goal is more. Whereas in intentional growth, we will fight to have good habits which will lead us to our goal. Intentional growth, where we take action, we follow through our action, whereas in accidental growth, it's more words, less of action. Accidental growth is sometimes only based on talent. We have talent and that talent helps us to grow, but that's an accident. Whereas intentional, it's not just the talent, but also character. In accidental growth, we stop learning after some time. Whereas in intentional growth, we never stop learning. We keep learning. And that's why I said things like a victim in accidental growth and things like a learner in intentional growth. Because in accidental growth, when you lose something, we feel victimized. Whereas in intentional growth, I'm not using the word victor. I use the word learner, because victor or victory is probably a one-time consequence or a result, whereas the learning is a continuous process. I talk about law of intention or intentionality. There is another element attached to it. So I thought I will share one a small post which I saw a few days back in Facebook, shared by one of a leading leadership guru from India, Mr. Prakash Iyer. It's about Winnie the Pooh. So it's, what day is it? And Piglet says, it's today. My favorite day, said the Pooh. So why I put this? Because intentional growth happens because we start now and today. What happens if we don't start? The longer we wait, the greater the odds that we will never do it. Like law of diminishing marginal utility, there is a law of diminishing intent. The intent slows down. The power of intent comes down, and it happens. We have seen multiple times. Most of the times we start, 1st of January, we decide to do something, and then we don't take action for a few days, and then, okay, next year. So that's the law of diminishing intent. So intention is set, take action. Now, when we are growing, we should know there are gaps that comes. Now, John talks about 8 different gaps, growth gaps, which actually hinder us in our journey of growth. The first gap he talks about is assumption gap. Now, this happened actually when I joined this company in India. The person who I was looking up as a mentor, he was at that time was a DGM finance in the company, and I joined as management trainee. I looked up, he was 38 years old, I was 28 years old that time, and there are 5 levels gap between me for me to reach his position. So I thought, okay, so every 2 years I get a promotion, I'm going to reach DGM level. It doesn't happen that way. For the first promotion, it took me 3 years. So sometimes we assume that we are going to grow automatically. It doesn't happen. Knowledge gap. Many occasions we start doing, we want to grow, we want to take an action, and then we stop because the knowledge gap, we don't know what to do next, how to grow, what action we should take, and then we stop. Timing gap, this is frequent. No, it's not the right time. Let me wait for something else to happen. Probably let me finish this and then I will go for it. So timing gap is something that's prevalent in many areas. Mistake gap. We are afraid to make mistakes. So we don't want to start something because we commit a mistake, what others will think of us. So we stop. Perfection gap. This I can tell you examples from my CA friends. Some of them who were not willing to write the exams. They were skipping the exams because they felt they were not completely ready for the exams, in the sense that their preparation is not enough for them to get the desired rank that they were waiting for. At least 3 of them I know personally did that. Did they got the rank ultimately? Not the one that they looked for. They only wasted time. So perfection gap is something that sometimes that stops us from growing. Inspiration gap. So we want to wait for inspiration to come. We say, I need something to happen, some inspiration for me to start working on it. Now, inspiration generally don't lead you to action, but action will definitely give you inspiration. Comparison gap. This is another one, because when we start doing something, we find people who are already there doing it, and they're experts. They've been doing it for years, but we compare with them, and then we feel that we are not yet there, so we can't. It's not for me. I can't do this. It's a wrong comparison, isn't it? The last gap that comes is expectation gap. This is something quite often we start expecting it to be more easier than the journey is. No journey will be easier. It's always tough. But the problem is what we expect. And then the journey becomes more tougher. Like, this is not what I was expecting. I thought this would be much more easier than what is happening. So we quit. Now, these are the gaps. We have to know these gaps so that we can prepare well for the journey of growth. The next law, the second law that I'm going to cover is called law of awareness. Because you should know yourself first. It's a basic thing. This is what talks, all the scriptures in the world talks about awareness, knowing yourself. That's the first place where you start your journey. So I want to start with what Krishna told to Arjuna in chapter 3, verse 33. Even wise people act according to their nature. For all beings are propelled by their natural tendencies. Of course, this is for a different reason, for a spiritual journey. But I thought I will use this particular thing to say how knowing ourselves will help us in our growth.
I'm sorry, it was mistakenly happened. Sorry.
No problem. And you can keep the questions towards the end. That's what I think the organizers have told me. So if you are to grow, we should know ourselves first. Self-awareness is the starting point. Now, you should know your strengths, your weakness, your talent, your interest, opportunities available, emotional baggages. Now, this is very, very critical, because what happens is that many times we carry so much of emotional baggage from our past that definitely hinders our growth. Something happens, which triggers a particular emotion in our mind, and then we tend to act negatively, and our growth gets hampered. It can be in our office, it can be in your personal growth journey for any of the targets that you want to achieve. Emotional baggage is something that we should know. What triggers what kind of emotion? Certain words sometimes triggers a negative reaction on us. Certain words sometimes create a positive reaction, and then we get carried away with that. So we should know what kind of emotional baggage our mind is carrying. Very importantly, where are we now in that journey and where we want to go? So these are certain points that we should know. Of course, self-awareness is a huge subject. On its own, we can do for one full day. And just touching on various important factors. So there are three types of people, three kinds of people, as John says. People who don't know what they want to do, what they would like to do. And they are generally confused. And then there are people who know what they want to do, but they don't do it. They don't take action. And they are frustrated. And then the third type of people who know what they want and then they do it and they are fulfilled. Now, each of us, as long as our life is concerned, in different growth areas, will be falling in different types. Probably in career, some of us are feeling fulfilled. Probably in some other, maybe our hobbies, we want to work on our hobbies. We're not even been able to give time for it. So we are either frustrated or we don't know what else to do. So we are confused. So this can be applied in different parts of our life. It's not that a straitjacket thing in one place. This is applicable to different aspects of our life. We can use this as an indicator to see where we are in what are aspects that we want to grow in our life. It's a famous quote: the two important days in your life, the day you were born and the day you find out why you were born. The next law that I'm going to cover is called law of mirror. And it says that you must see value in yourself and then add value to yourself. So if you don't see value in yourself, it's going to be difficult. Now, I want to give an example of my personal life. Again, the one that I was there standing there and speaking. See, my speaking journey started 10 years back, 2007 almost, when I joined Toastmasters. 2-3 years down the line, I was there winning in the club level. In Toastmasters, of course, we have different levels: club level, area level, division level. So I was going up to division, but I was not able to go beyond that. I was not winning at division level. And why? When I was looking back, I realized that I told myself that I am not a world championship material. So what's happening? I was not even performing to the extent that is required to perform at the division level. So the image that I was carrying in my mind is what actually was stopping me. So when I joined John Maxwell team, they also have something called stage time. So every 6 months, they do this international Maxwell certification where they'll be selecting 10 speakers to speak during the conference out of around 600 to 700 people who will be applying for it. Now, this time when I applied, I removed that particular image from my mind and I was working rigorously for it. 6 months of continuous effort, practice. There I was standing on stage in February 2018 in Orlando, Florida, speaking in front of almost 2,500 John Maxwell trainers. That is because of removing that particular image which I was carrying in my mind, that I am not yet ready as a speaker to speak in front of an international audience. So it's all in the mind. So look in the mirror. Your view of yourself determines your behavior. And this, you can check yourself. If you are confident, the way you behave in a particular environment versus when you are not confident, how you behave. When you know a subject, how you behave. When you don't know a subject, how you behave. So everything comes from the fact that how you keep yourself, how your mind is prepared for a situation. And remember this, we cannot outperform the image in our mind. We will only perform less than that, not even to that level of image that we are carrying. So you have to have more in your life, increase the image about yourself. Of course, you have to work and get also required skills and confidence. That's a different thing altogether. But sometimes with all the talents, still we put ourselves down. So value we put ourselves is the value others will put on us. That's what John says. If you place a small value, people will accept it. They're not going to object to it. So it's up to you to decide what value you want to derive from your life. Because I was told that there are also family members who will be joining in this particular thing, I thought I will give some tips for basically for the teenagers and youngsters. They have this problem. Self-esteem is a major challenge for most of them because they want to be with their friends and behave the way they wanted. Self-talk. Many times we put ourselves down through the self-talk. I want to give an experiment that's being done in MIT, where what they've done is they have taken an empty chips packet. They put that in an enclosed space, and they were playing some music. What was happening is the chips packet was vibrating for the music. And then they captured the vibration and then converted that back into sound. And what they are hearing, the song that's being played. Now imagine that's an empty chips packet, which is an object which is not having life. But the whole body has got so many cells, living cells. Whatever we are telling in our mind is what is going to reflect, vibrate, and it's going to give back to us. So guard your self-talk. Try to be more positive. Bring positivity in your mind. Stop comparing yourself to anyone. And this happens very, very, I've seen this in youngsters. They compare themselves to others and then say, no, I can't do this. Or, they want to bring down because their friends are not up to the mark. So they also want to bring it down. Don't do that. Now, comparison with others is fine as long as it's a benchmark for you to achieve, to reach your potential. But if you want to put yourself down, you don't have to compare that because you are unique. Simple thing to get self-esteem is by adding value. You don't have to be an expert in something to add value. You can add value by helping anyone. A small help you do, you're going to feel extremely elated on that particular day. And that your self-esteem is going to hit the highest mark. So helping some people is going to help you to increase your self-esteem. This is the best advice I can give for anyone. For the youngsters especially, help people to get your self-esteem level up. And then move beyond your limiting belief. So what is that you're looking in the mirror? How is the image of yourself appearing in the mirror? The next law that I'm going to cover is called law of reflection. Learning to pause allows growth to catch up with you. Now, this is one law where I want to play a video involving Warren Buffett and Bill Gates. There may be a challenge in terms of, because there may be a lag in the video getting played because of the connectivity and all. But don't worry, you will be seeing subtitles, so you can easily understand what's being happening there. I just want you to listen to this. If you can.
Yes, Meenakshi, the audio started to roll in.
I also remember Warren showing me his calendar, and
I love this.
I had every minute packed, and I thought that was the only way you could do things. And the fact that he is so careful about his
Can I show this to the audience? Yeah.
he has days
that there's nothing on.
There's nothing on.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm trying to show.
Some of the best ones.
And
well, this is October.
It's very high tech. Be careful. You might not understand.
I'm not going to show the thing. But this is the week of April, of which there are only 3 entries for a week.
Yeah, there'll be 4 maybe by April.
File tax.
So that taught you what? To not to crowd yourself too much and give yourself time to read and think and
right. That you control your time, and that sitting and thinking may be a much higher priority than a normal CEO who, there's all this demand and you feel like you need to go and see all these people. It's not a proxy of your seriousness that you filled every minute in your schedule.
And people are going to want your time.
Yeah,
and it's the only thing you can't buy. I mean, I can buy anything I want, basically, but I can't buy time.
And so to have time is the most precious thing you can have.
I better be careful with it.
Yeah.
There's no way I will be able to buy more time.
Well, it's a very important lesson that Bill Gates, of course, got from Warren Buffett. But that's very important, because many times what happens, we tend to keep ourselves busy and we don't want to take a time out to reflect, pause and reflect. It's very, very critical, very important for us if we want to grow in our life, to take time out to pause and reflect. Because when you reflect, the experience that you have on a particular day, any event that has happened, that will turn into an insight. If you don't reflect upon it, it will be a passing event. So you want to learn something, you have to start reflecting upon the experiences. Intentional pausing expands thinking. Of course, those who have attended emotional intelligence workshops, those who have read about emotional intelligence, you know very well that intentional pausing helps you to control your emotions. Similarly, intentional pausing expands your thinking. You are able to analyze a situation with much more clarity, a crystal clarity that your mind can get when you pause intentionally. I don't have words to explain that. You have to experience it. So there are 4 I's that I want to give for reflection. Investigation. So an event happened, you have to look into it and find a meaning for that particular experience. So investigate and find a meaning. Incubation is like allowing it to cook, like how a cow will chew its food. So allow that to happen, and then place value on your experience. When I talk about the slow cooking for reflection, basically incubation, many times in corporate setup, we would have had a meeting on a particular subject, and then we will say, let's sleep on this subject for a day. What we are doing is basically taking intentional pausing and trying to find more value in that particular decision. So third I is illumination. Place a value on that experience. Now, every experience you want to learn, once you identified an experience, reflected upon it, got some ideas, place a value for that. Because once you place a value, that's how it's going to illuminate. You're going to remember it actually, and then illustrate it, put that into action. So that's how you use 4 I's for reflecting. You want the right answer? Ask the right question. Now, what I want to do here is I want to do a small poll to see whatever we have covered so far. Mahesh, we can give about a minute for the poll.
Yes, Meenakshi, I think the poll itself has a self timer. So
okay, fine. So I launch it, it automatically takes the time.
Yeah, so it launches and it stays there for that much time. It won't wait for everyone to send the response at leisure. It will be completed in a certain seconds, maybe 15 to 30 seconds.
Perfect. Okay, so I'll launch the poll now, so you can take the poll.
Those of you who are co-host and host will not be able to do the polling because we won't get the option unless we are joining in through an alternative device. So don't panic if you don't see the option for choosing the option. Meenakshi, what I can see here is, I think the setting is such that you can decide when to end. We are about 30 seconds and
I can do probably another...
A minute is good enough, Meenakshi.
Yeah, because I'm just seeing about 10%, now 20% have answered. So we'll give probably another 20-25 seconds.
Yeah.
Another 30 seconds, let's see. And then we will close. But probably if once we get around 40% or 50% polling, we can probably stop.
Yeah, agree.
Okay, and I'm audible now. If there is any way that I have to change or...
Very clear.
Very clear. Okay, perfect. Yeah. So we got 45% voting done. Let me just wait for 50%. And then we will end the poll. Okay, we got across 50% mark. So I think we'll end the poll because we will not be able to match the time that is required for completing. Is it okay, Mahesh, or you want me to give time for others also?
No, it's fine, Meenakshi, because there are multiple polls. So maybe we can have the others come in at the next level.
Perfect. Okay, so we have got 60% voting now. So I'm ending the poll now.
Right.
You can see the results.
Yeah, Ajay, the recording has paused. You want to just check on that side?
Maybe because of polling.
No, it's okay now. Yeah, we can see the results, Meenakshi. You can
Okay,
interpret the
fine.
results. Yeah.
Okay, so I just kept this only is to reiterate what we have seen so far, and also as to, so some people have said the best way to improve self-esteem is by retail therapy. I'm really happy that at least there are some people like me there who want to go for shopping, and then some are there who want to tease their friends. So good, actually. Okay, so let's now proceed with the next law. So this we have covered already. Yeah, a law of pain. The next law that we are going to see. And this says that good management of bad experiences, that leads to great growth. Now here, let me, okay, how many of you can see this picture? I'm sure many of you know.
We know it is you, sir.
Okay, thanks, Tanu. So it's a famous Bollywood actress, Meenakshi Seshadri. And why I'm sharing her picture in my presentation? Because we share something common, the name. So what was happening for me when I was in school, it started actually, I was in an all boys school, and all the boys in my class would, very happily, proudly, they will pronounce that Meenakshi is my girlfriend. Now, it was difficult for me in the beginning, but then I got used to it. And there were a lot of bullying that was happening with my name. There was someone who was trying to say that he's going to prove that I'm a girl in the class. And this continued even after I finished my studies. I came to work. I used to get emails addressed as Miss Meenakshi. I even got a airline ticket printed as Mrs. Meenakshi Sundaram. That was in 2003. So it was a kind of trouble for me. Just to show one email from when I came to Bahrain for the first time. I got a mail from Indian Ladies Association here in Bahrain, greeting me and welcoming me. They were, in fact, they tried their best to make me join the association. There may be someone who is listening from the association, but yes, it happened to me. But what happened was over a period, I realized these are all, when I look back, I found more humor in these incidents. And then I used all this humor and made a humorous speech in Toastmasters. And you can see me there standing with all the great people there, standing in the middle wearing a salwar kameez with my speech on my name. And I won the humorous speech contest that year. So it was a bad experience for me in the beginning, definitely. But over a period of time, I realized that it's really fun. So how you look at the experience and use it to your advantage decides how you can benefit out of that. Now, the truth about bad experiences, everyone has them. It's not that there is one person who doesn't have a bad experience. Everyone definitely goes through some bad experiences, but no one likes them. We don't want to, have a bad experience. We want to avoid bad experiences, but it happens. We don't like it, but it happens. But very few will convert the bad experience into a positive experience. Now, that is what is going to help in propelling your growth. So how you turn your pain into gain, choose a positive life stance. To say that everything happens for a good reason. So it has happened. Definitely you have to worry about it. You can't really shrug off, but you give your time. Some time you have to definitely worry about that and then work and see how you can take a life lesson out of it, a positive lesson out of it. Like what's happening in COVID also has got positivity, isn't it? It also gives some lot of positive results, a lot of time for learning so many things. Similarly, every experience gives us something positive. Creative, if you are creative, if you can be more creative, you can make that bad experience into more positive experiences. Now, embrace the value. Because if you don't embrace the value of the bad experiences, you're not going to learn out of that. There is something that John recommends to keep a pain file, just to learn from each of the pain experiences. Like pain of inexperience, obviously, most of us would have faced it. And especially in CA, when we joined the CA as article clerk, when we were the junior most in the office, how many times our seniors were troubling us. Our inexperience was causing us a lot of pain. Incompetence. Sometimes we take up jobs where we are not really competent enough, but we have to go through that struggle to become competent enough. So pain of incompetence, pain of disappointment. We expect something else happens. Pain of conflict. In office, in your personal life, you can't avoid conflict. Definitely it inflicts pain. But every conflict, there's an opportunity for us to grow. Pain of hard decisions. Sometimes you take decisions which are hard, painful, but you have to take it. That's the right thing to do. Of course, I don't know about financial loss. That's a different thing for different people. Responsibility, sometimes it's painful. Pain of change. Change is constant, but change is painful. The amount of pain a change causes is sometimes insurmountable, but you have to take the pain if you want to grow in life. The next law I want to cover is law of consistency. I would say is motivation gets you going, but discipline keeps you growing. I want to play, okay. So you can see this picture. I'm sure many of you would recognize these two gentlemen. Sachin Tendulkar and Vinod Kambli. Now, they had a fantastic partnership, 664 runs. Sachin, 326 and Kambli, 349. Why I'm showing this data? Now, Kambli played 17 test matches with an average of 54.2, whereas Sachin in his first 20 test matches had an average of 37.41. But Sachin went on to play for over 2 decades and Kambli disappeared. Because the difference lies in discipline. There is a talk of about this by Arsha Bogle in YouTube. You can check out and hear that speech. It's a fantastic speech. Because growth is not a single event. It's a continuous event. So, see, successful people has the habit of doing things that failures don't like to do. But the fact is, even they hate doing certain things. For example, practicing for 12 hours, Sachin probably should have felt the pain of it, but still he continued practicing for 12 hours sometimes. Because they do it with the strength of purpose for why they want to do that. So talk about consistency. What makes them consistent is because they are not goal conscious, they are growth conscious. The difference is when you are goal conscious, you are going to focus on a particular destination. Once that is done, then you're not going to take any more effort. Whereas in growth consciousness, it's a continuous journey. You're going to develop yourself each day, each moment. In goal consciousness, your effort is seasonal, whereas in growth consciousness, it's a lifelong effort. Goal will challenge you, but growth consciousness will change you. And you will stop when the goal is reached. You will keep growing beyond a particular goal because you will keep developing more goals. Now, the next law that I'm going to cover is called law of environment. Mahesh, just let me know if I'm in time, okay? Growth survives in conducive surroundings. Now, how many of you have read this book by Malcolm Gladwell, Outliers? It's a fantastic book. And it talks about, again, one of the chapters that is covered is on Bill Gates. Now, we generally feel Bill Gates, people generally say Bill Gates is a college dropout and he had a fantastic idea. He went and started a business. And many of the youngsters generally use that as an example to counter argument. We say if you have to put your effort, you have to work hard. No, Bill Gates was a college dropout. Bill Gates, it seems, had the opportunity of working on computer I think as early as 12. When at that point of time, in, if you see that particular period, not many had an access to computer. Computers availability was very less. Very few had the access. And that young age, Bill Gates had access to computers, worked for 3 to 4 hours a day in one of those universities in the night. So the environment actually where he was growing was helping him to become who he became. So environment makes a huge difference. There are examples of people who have grown despite the environment, but that's quite few, probably a handful. But otherwise, environment plays a huge role in us. The way we shape ourselves depends on the environment in which we are growing, isn't it? So we have to be careful as to what environment we are in. We have to do assessment of our environment. If you are look at your environment, is the environment forward focused? Is it allowing you to look forward in your life, or is it you pulling back to your past always? Is it exciting? You want to join that environment. If you're working in office, you want to get up in the morning and go to office. Is it exciting or not? Are there people ahead of you to grow? It's a famous quote which says that if you are the smartest person in the room, then you're in the wrong room. So there should be a gap between you and there are people ahead of you, so that there's an opportunity for you to grow. If that is not there, then you have to find other ways of growing. Is it challenging you? And change friendly, because it can challenge you, but it is not change friendly, then you are not going to grow. You're not going to change. It should be challenging at the same time, change friendly also. Is it encouraging to you to make mistakes? Is it encouraging you to fail? I worked in a company, it's a part of IDC conglomerate, where I've seen people commit mistakes and they come openly and accept it. Because the environment was so mistake friendly. It allows you to commit mistakes, but as long as you learn from it and put in systems in place. So what happens is that allows them to try out more options. Sometimes it really helps. Finally, the environment in which you are in, also get to know the people around you and their emotions. And especially if you're in a corporate setup, you should know how your boss is reacting to each and every situation, because that is going to help you to amend the way you are going to behave in the office. So it's a very small fact, but it's a fact because it's part of the environment. Now, you want to change the environment. When change actually happens because you are in an environment and you want to grow, you're not able to grow. There are 3 types of changes that you can do. One is you can change yourself, but not the environment. Change will be there. Your growth will be slow, but it will be difficult because the environment is going to hamper your growth. You change environment, but not yourself. Again, growth will be slow, but it may be a bit easy because the environment is friendly now. You change environment and also yourself. That's when you're going to grow faster and more successful. Now, there are situations where you can't really change much in the environment, in which case you have to change your perspective and see how you can use the environment to your own success. Now, there is a famous book, Nudge, by Richard Taylor, the Nudge Theory. That is something that you can use in making use of environment to help you to grow. Like I just put some examples. So reading 5 books a month. We have a book reader club in Bahrain. So you want to read 5 books a month. You can keep 1 book in every room that you're in your house. So it is going to encourage you to pick up a book and read. Make a practice to read 15 minutes, 20 minutes a day before you go to sleep. So there is a practice that comes in. You want to join a gym? Generally, we all have this. We want to join a gym. We sometimes sign up, but then we don't go. So instead, if there are stairs near you, use a staircase, park the car in a farthest distance and walk. These are a few things which you can use environment to your support. Calories you want to cut down, make the plate smaller, learn new things every day. Of course, this is something which I thought would be fun, because generally we get a lot of WhatsApp forward. So at least spend some time to see that forward is true or not before you forward to someone else. So you're going to learn something new every day. The next law that I'm going to cover is law of design. To maximize the growth, develop strategies. That's what the law of design says. I want to play this video again because we are all from subcontinent. It's more with cricket. And I'm also a big fan of Sachin Tendulkar. So
Tendulkar went to Ravi Shastri. Now you've got Tendulkar at probably, I'll talk in the old language because I don't know centimetres so well, but Tendulkar would be 5'7" maximum. You've got Ravi Shastri would be 6'3", 6'3.5". So a lot taller player. Tendulkar has a very high regard for Ravi Shastri and his cricket knowledge, but also he would remember that Ravi Shastri made 200 in Shane Warne's first Test match, you see. So here's a man who's got a fair bit of experience about playing Shane Warne. So he goes to Ravi and he says, right, when Warne comes and bowls into the rough, into the footmarks, how do I handle it? And Ravi gives him some very good advice. Ravi says, well, I handled it defensively, but I've got a much longer reach than you and I could get out there and smother the spin. He said, you haven't got that option because you're so much shorter. He said, you're going to have to find an aggressive option to counter Shane Warne when he comes around the wicket into the footmarks. That's all he said to him. Very good advice, though. So off goes Tendulkar. He goes to the MRF, to the Pace Foundation where Dennis Lilly coaches, and they've got all sorts of different pitches there. So he goes, he takes what's his name, Shivaramakrishnan, Laxman Shivaramakrishnan, the leg spinner who played for India in the World Championship series out here when India won. Very good leg spinner. He gets him to bowl, and Tendulkar goes down right on the spot where he reckons that Warne is going to bowl into the rough, and he gets his sprigs and he roughs it up. He does this for 4 days. He bats against Laxman Shivaramakrishnan, and he works out a method to cope with Shane Warne. Now we go into the first Test match. First innings, Shane Warne gets Tendulkar, trying to drive through the onside, top edge, goes to backward point, and he gets caught for 4, I think. Second innings, Tendulkar comes in, the game's on the line. Australia lead by not many on the first innings, 30, 40, something like that. And they've got away to a good start, so now India are 2 down and they're in the lead by probably something just over 100. But the game is right on the line. And we've had 3.5 days of play where it has been like this the whole way, just like a well-balanced seesaw, just going like that. And you don't get Test matches that do that for 3.5 days too often. Here's Tendulkar on 50, here comes Warne around the wicket. And I say to myself, sitting in the commentary box, this is the game. You've got one team's champion bowling to the other team's champion, and whichever champion wins that battle, his team will probably win the war. Warne comes around the wicket, Tendulkar goes bang, hits him for 6 over mid-wicket. Bang, hits him 1 bounce for 4 through mid-wicket. And he really takes to Warne, and he does it, as Ravi Shastri suggested he would have to, by taking an aggressive option. Sachin Tendulkar makes 155. He dominates Warne on that occasion. India go on to win the Test match. It was marvellous batting, and I admired it for 2 things: the preparation that went into, and the preparation and planning that went into that innings, and then the courage to actually do it when the game is on the line. You might be doing that to Laxman Shivaramakrishnan in the nets, but the game isn't on the line then. To have the guts.
Okay, that makes the point. So the amount of effort Sachin has put in to prepare a strategy for facing Shane Warne, because that time Shane Warne became a fantastic leg spinner, and he was coming to India for the first time after he became a terrific leg spinner. So this talk of Sachin versus Shane Warne was going on, and so obviously Sachin had developed a strategy and he worked hard for making it happen. So law of design says that you have to strategize your growth. Now, few tips that I can give if you want to plan a particular strategy. A few tips that is, it's a personal growth strategy if you want to plan yourself. The tips are basically, can it be received easily? When I say received, can you internalize the plan easily? Because if you can't internalize, then you're not going to follow it through. The second is, can it be repeated easily? Because one, having a plan. Second is execution. So if it is easy for you to repeat it, you will be able to execute it. You will be able to follow it through continuously. So look at your plan, whatever you're having for your personal growth. Ask these questions. The third question is, can it be transferred strategically? Now, why you should transfer a plan strategically? To whom you are going to transfer? If it is a personal growth plan, that's what you're thinking. Even if it is a personal growth plan, you need help from others. You're not going to achieve everything on your own. You're going to have a team which is going to support you, which is going to help you. So if you are not going to transfer your plan strategically to your team, you are not going to succeed. So the plan that you're going to put in place, the strategy that you're going to follow, can be your office or your personal life. It should be easy for you to receive internally, should be repeated easily, and it should be transferred easily to people who are going to help you in your growth. Of course, develop systems that can facilitate growth. Now, this is a famous quote of Henry Ford. Whether you think you can or you think you can't, either way, you are right. Now, most of our times, we think it's a motivational quote. You know, if someone says you can't, no, you can. It's about what you think in your mind and all. In my opinion, this is not just a motivational quote. At a superficial level, maybe it's a motivational quote, but at a deeper level, it's more than that. It's about strategy. Because when you say you can't, you don't know how you can. So it's less due to motivation, but more due to preparation, more due to clarity. The moment someone tells that I can't do this, ask the question to them back, why you say that you can't? In many occasions, even sometimes when we say that, and when someone asks us to answer why you say you can't, when you sit and think, most of the reasons that we found out are frivolous. We sometimes feel ashamed to even tell the reason to the other person. So you can't, when we say that you can't, in my opinion, it's less of motivation and more of preparation and clarity. So let's do the second round of polling now. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Okay, can you see the poll now?
Yes, Meenakshi.
Okay, so we'll give about a minute.
Yep. All the participants, there are 3 questions. So you need to scroll down so that you can see and respond to all the 3 questions.
Yeah.
Delegating pain to others has been a
Yeah.
strategy we come across, at least maybe in
The
workplaces.
office. Yeah, absolutely. That's why I put it actually, because many people use it as a good strategy.
It says, it's a common saying that, you just take the monkey off your back and, let it be on somebody else's back.
Yeah. And I hope Mahesh is not talking about the first chairperson with whom he worked.
I am definitely not even having any reference to that part.
By the way, for just to clarify the doubts, it's no one else, it was me. Okay, so I think we will end the polling now. We've got almost 76% of the, let's see the results. You can see the results. Yeah, of course, 88%, 98%, yes. Actively look for a positive outcome. Very good. Changing yourself, yes. Changing both. It's actually, changing both works in many ways, but many times we'll not be able to change both. So changing yourself also equally gives you a better result. Yes. Preparation, motivation, fun. Yes. Good. Okay, I'll stop the poll now. Let's continue. We have seen the polls. The next law that we're going to cover is law of ladder. It says that character growth determines the height of your personal growth. whatever you height you reach. So this is how the ladder appears. If you see the ladder, your personal growth is what is where you're going to reach through the ladder. And each step in the ladder is laid by the character. So the strong the character that you have, the growth is going to be stable. See, you can, I'm not saying that you will not be able to grow without, and then we have a lot of examples. We have seen people growing and then failing abysmally. And that's what happens when some of the characters are, given off. And that leads us back to the first, I think, second law where we talk about awareness. Because you probably are strong in character, but still you can fail. And that's what happened with Yudhishthir in Mahabharata. He's actually epitome of characters, but he had a weakness, and that weakness was exploited. So you should be aware of your weakness also. Even if with a good character, you can sometimes fail. So you should link these laws to have a very sustained growth. So character is what is going to determine your growth and stability of your growth. So you can grow, definitely, yes. Not that everyone has got all the characters, but the stability of your growth is decided by having good characters. And I want to just touch upon a few points, like, when you talk about character, people matters. Whatever, so if you're in your office, if you have to grow after a particular point of time in your career, you're going to have people working for you, people working with you. So as long as you're able to take care of them, your growth is going to be great. So I want to give an example of this gentleman, Herb Gallagher, CEO of Southwest Airlines. There is a story which goes around. One of the, there was a time when a CEO was going along with, he invited Herb to his office. So they were traveling in the lift. As they reached the CEO's office, and CEO asked one question to Herb: what is that one tip that you want to give to me to have a sustained and a good growth? And then it's a story, of course. It's Herb, I believe, has told him that when you are in a lift, say hello to people, acknowledge the presence of people around you. Now that's very important. And Herb Gallagher is one great example because he remembers, it seems, the names of each and every employee who has worked in his office. And he greets people individually. He's been considered as a great leader because of his personal touch. The next one is, of course, the passion matters, but it should be from yourself. When you take a borrowed belief, you will not be able to sustain, you will not be able to inspire people. And I want to give an example of great Mahatma Gandhi. Now, he believed in ahimsa. That's why he was able to live a life which can inspire many people. And one example which I want to give is, he was a barrister in South Africa. He came back to India to join the freedom movement. He traveled all across India. One thing which he did is he changed his attire because he wanted to feel how a common man feels. He was there with them, living with them, and then he changed his lifestyle to suit a common man's life. And then he started believing that he should work for them. That's what really changed the masses to follow him. And that really changed the entire independence movement. Now, be humble. I want to give an example of two gentlemen. One is Robert Falcon Scott, other is Ernest Shackleton. Both are went on Antarctic expeditions. Both are failure in one way. Ernest Shackleton, of course, couldn't even reach. Robert Scott could reach, but his plan was to be the first person to reach. But then by the time he reached, it was 5 months late. And what happened was Ernest Shackleton realized that it's not possible for him to reach. So he decided a safe return of the team is more important. So he returned safely. Whereas Robert Scott insisted on reaching. And at the end of the day, all of them lost their life on return because of the effort they are putting in reaching. Sometimes you should be humble enough to accept defeat because safety of people is more important sometimes. So I just want to give an example for this. So these are some of the characters that we need to develop in ourselves when we want to grow in our life. So be teachable, be humble, be willing to serve others. This is more important because if you are not willing to serve others, in Advaita Vedanta, they say this very, very clearly. They say when you are closing your eyes, you're doing meditation, where you're traveling inwards. When you open your eyes, your focus is outward to help and serve people. So that is what we should all aim for. Be grateful to what we have in our life. These are few things that is going to help us grow to have a well-rounded growth in our life. The next law that I'm going to touch upon is the law of rubber band, which is basically says that you will lose the tension between where you are and where you could be. The growth is going to stop. I want to give an example of a boss that I worked with. He used to put us on a tremendous pressure, enough pressure not to break us down. So one day when we were having a chat with him, so we all asked him that why is that you are putting so much pressure on us? And then he gave an example of a suitcase. He said, when you're traveling, you pack your bags, you put the dress inside and you feel it's full. And then what do? You press it so that more gap is released. And then you add more clothes. And sometimes what do, it's full. You close the suitcase and then sit on top of it. And then you open it, you're getting extra space. Now, that's how you're going to reach more of your potential. If you are not putting enough pressure, you will not utilize your full potential. So, law of rubber band says that you have to stretch yourself. So look into your life. It's easy to be average. If you want to be excellent, you have to stretch yourself. The potential to us is a gift from God, but developing it is what we have to do. If you're in the same place for a very long time, it's time to stretch. Now, what is that? Which area do you think you need to stretch right now? Think about it. This is a famous quote from, I think, Rabbi. I couldn't get his name. If you want to be better tomorrow than today, then why you need today? What is the need for today? So everything that you do today, is it helping you to grow somewhere? I'll skip that slide because we will have a poll. The next law that we are going to talk about is law of trade-off. You have to give up to go up. Now, trade-offs are there everywhere. I want to give an example of zip line. I was in a zip line a few years back. There are two sets of zip lines. The first one was where sitting and going. That was being first time. I was a bit nervous, but it was fun. The second one was like Superman style. So when I was there and they were fixing all those things, it was taking time, and I was wondering why it is taking so much time. After some time, the guy tapped my shoulder and said, "Sir, you have to take your leg off the floor. You are putting your leg on the floor so tightly that we are not able to fix these things." That's when I realized that I was actually putting my leg on the floor and holding it tight. And I relaxed my body. I let go of the floor. Within few seconds, probably about 10-15 seconds, I was there off the zip line. Now that's what happens in life. Sometimes we hold on to certain things. We don't want to give off. Because sometimes if you don't give up, you are not going to grow up. The truth about trade-offs is it's available across entire life. We get trade-offs. Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't do. So just to give an example, I can say unsuccessful people, or sometimes we are unsuccessful because we make a bad trade-off. Average people make few trade-offs. Successful people make good trade-offs, and quite often. So trade-offs generally are disguised as disguised opportunity for growth, which we don't sometimes see. We fail to see that. We can do trade-off at any time in our life. It's always available. But few trade-offs come only once, and we have to be prepared for it. And higher the climb, it's tougher for the trade-off. Because, see, the skill set that we had at a particular point of time is not sufficient for us to grow further. So you have to give up something to get something more. A trade-off like this is easy. A donut or apple, it depends on what is your mood that day. So you are more focused on a healthy diet, you will choose apple. If you're more focused on having fun, you're going to choose donut. Just simple, easy trade-off. But a trade-off like this that happened with Kodak is not easy. In fact, Kodak was the first company to have a digital technology with them. It's not that they were not having, they were the first one to invent a digital camera, but they had not used it. Why? Because the revenue that they were getting from selling films was much more, and They thought the market was not ready. So they were holding on to that technology. But by the time they realized it, there were others who came in, and then Kodak went out of business. So sometimes the trade-off is difficult to see, recognize. So that's when we have to be, you have to seek help, you have to be more open-minded. Sometimes we learn only after we lose a particular trade-off. The next law is law of curiosity. Why? Keep asking the question why. That's what Simon Sinek's famous book, Start with Why. Socrates' his recommendation is ask why. Now, I want to give one example from my own life. When I started my career in ITC, we were sent on an induction program, to covering different places. So I was supposed to go and meet head of marketing. So I went and met him, Mr. Vishwanathan Vishi. He asked me, do you have any questions to ask? I had few questions. But before I could ask, he asked me, by any chance you went to the factory? I said, yes. How many days? I said, about 10 days I was there in the factory. Good. How many questions you asked? I was like, I had probably about 10 questions. So one day, one question. That's the average you got. That's the fourth largest factory in the Asia, and you asked 10 questions. You should be curious like a child. Moment you see there and look at the factory, you should ask every possible question. If you're not curious enough, you're not going to grow in your life. And this example, this message is with me in my mind for more than 20 years now. So curiosity is what helps us to grow. Now, because of curiosity, I just want to put these 2 slides. And if it is possible, if you can find out what is wrong in these pictures. Maybe you can, any one of you can put your answer.
The 10 of dice is in black. It cannot be black. It has to be red.
Perfect. Yeah, because we don't generally find that. It's difficult to find. Everything is correct. What's wrong? So 10 diamond, it should be red. Okay. What about McDonald's?
Instead of billion, it should be million.
Okay. Anything else?
Spelling of McDonald's.
Perfect. Yes. So it's don't lads, because what happens in our mind is the moment we see the, logo M, our mind knows it is McDonald's. So we will not even read the next line.
No, that's
but
how
if you're
Prime Minister had called. So that's correct, actually.
Okay, no comments. So you should be curious enough to ask questions in every possible manner. So how to cultivate curiosity? Just few tips. Stop looking for right answer. We always look for the right answer and the answer that fit our beliefs. We stop there. Once the answer we get what we wanted, we stop reading, we stop exploring. So the curiosity is basically reading or exploring with open mind. If it is not broken, can it be done better? Because we generally feel if it is not broken, it is good. No, but ask the question, can it be better? Okay. If it is not broken, we take it for granted. Maybe it will break in future. Is it possible? Again, how long it will serve? So the current system probably is surviving you, but it may not be, thriving in future. So you have to change the system, you have to change system. So curiosity is what is going to help you in asking these questions. The next law that we are going to cover is law of modeling. Now it's hard to improve when you have no one but yourself to follow. That's what law of modeling says. Now, see, we should all have a model for us to follow. Now, whom we should follow? A worthy example, someone who has achieved something in the field that we are trying to grow, who is an example, someone who knows, who can go the way, show the way, help us also to grow in that particular field, is available whenever you want. Not that 24 hours, but when you when you want to ask some questions and you send a mail or call that person calls you back. So he's available to help you. He has got proven experience, which you have already seen, and then wisdom. So the person finally should be able to make a difference in your life. Not everyone can make a difference. Whoever has got knowledge, expertise, but they may not be willing to make a difference. So you should look for a person who can help you in all these aspects. Now, I just want to ask one question. Like, for example, if you want to be a budding cricketer, who is more helpful to you? Virat Kohli, or a coach who is available in your locality? Obviously, the coach who is available in your locality, isn't it? Because Virat Kohli can be an inspiration, but he cannot help you to grow in your field. If you want to be a good cricketer, you have to look for someone who is available next to you. So what it says is that when you are looking for a model to help you to grow your life, out of a scale of 1 to 10, you look for someone who is in 4 or 5, because it is easy to fill that gap. If you get someone who is in 10, you probably, the person can inspire you, but you'll probably get demotivated because the gap is too much. So look for someone who is closer to you, reach that destination, and then look for the next person. So that's how you model yourself when you want to grow in your life. The next law is called law of expansion. Now, the difference between law of expansion and law of rubber band, which is stretching your potential. Expansion is a bit more than stretching your potential. Expansion is about increasing your capacity. Excuse me. Now, expanding your capacity in different arenas. Expand your thinking capacity. Try and read more books, read more material on the area, the expertise that where you want to get it. Capacity for action. Look for more challenges. Expand your capacity, it's going to expand your impact. You can impact more people in your life. So law of expansion is about moving the edges out. No, you are constrained in a particular place. You have to move every edge. So it can be thinking side, your action side, or personal side. Every side of yours growth has to be well-rounded. So you try to expand in every possible manner. That's what is the law of expansion says. So the difference between expansion and law of rubber band is for a potential, whereas expansion is a well-rounded, overall, complete expansion of your capacity to handle more, to impact more. I want to give an example of this gentleman, Pablo Casals. He's a renowned cello player. At the age of 95, he was practicing. So one gentleman asked him, one youngster, like, Pablo Casals, you are one of the best, you achieved greatest, pinnacle in your career. You're considered as one of the best cello players. You got so many accolades and you're 95. What is the need to practice? And Pablo Casals said, it seems, I'm practicing because I think I am progressing. Now, that is expansion. You keep expanding always. You don't stop your expansion because you have reached a particular place. It's a continuous journey. The next law, the last law that we're going to talk about, is law of contribution. Growing yourself enables you to grow others. Now, this, you don't have to wait for this particular law that you have to grow others only when you reach the ultimate, like in cricket, once they retire, they start coaching. In your personal life, it's not the case. You can start helping people wherever you are. So it's your responsibility to help others grow. Because when you lift up people in your life, what's happening is you also grow up more. Now, in corporate life, it's often said that when you get more smart people and when you develop more smart people to work for you, ultimately, you are the one who is going to get the benefit because you are going to grow more. They are going to help you to grow further in your life. So law of contribution is in helping others around you to grow. I want to give a small story here. Okay, I'll just cover this and then go to the story. So you cannot give what you don't have. Always ask the question, what do you want to do today? Good. What is a good thing I have done today? So these are questions which you would ask to see whether you're contributing or not. Now this story is about 4 people in a village. So at the end of the village, there's a huge wall. One day these 4 people went to the wall and then they were like curious to know what's in the other side. So 4 of them somehow got up into the wall and then they saw, to their amazement, there was a huge celebration going on the other side. Now they never thought that the other side of the wall can be so exciting. So what happened? Two of them jumped and joined the celebration. Now the other two, they decided to jump back to the place where they originally came from. They went back to the village and they started telling people about what's going on the other side. And they helped more people to join the celebration. Now, that is exactly the law of contribution says. You have seen something wonderful. You have grown to be a better person. It's your responsibility to help others also to grow wonderfully in their life, to see so much that they can see in their life, to reach their potential in their life. And that's what law of contribution says. You don't stop once you grow in your life. In fact, your journey of growing others starts the moment you realize that you have grown in your life. Of course, you don't stop growing further. You keep growing, but you also start helping others to grow in their life. Now, this is 15 laws. We'll do the last polling before I summarize the lessons. Can you see the poll?
Yes.
Mahesh?
Yes, Meenakshi.
70% have voted so far. Should we wait for some more time or I can close it off?
Yeah.
Because we've almost covered, we just have the summarize the 15 laws now.
Yeah,
I hope
Meenakshi, just
I am on time.
very much on time, Meenakshi. Just let's give them about 15, 20 seconds more and
Perfect. Okay. So it's going up. So let's wait for some more time. At least let's try and see if we can get 100% for this.
For some of the participants, Saturday night has started, I think.
Now we got 76% voting. So I think we will probably end the polling now.
yes, Meenakshi.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Okay. Thank you. So let me share the results now. So we have some excellent answers actually. So what is easy? Excellence is easy actually. 23% said excellence is easy. Definitely yes. Once you are well prepared and you are up there in the curve, it's easy. But otherwise, mediocrity is the easiest one. And some people have what is the disguised opportunity for growth is donut. It's true actually. Donut is a disguised opportunity for growth, especially if you want to grow vertically, horizontally, or is it horizontally? Yeah, sorry. If you want to grow fat in your body, donut is the opportunity for growth. Ladder is an opportunity for growth. Yes, okay. And then there are people, okay, they're looking for the right answer. Yes, asking the right question. Asking the right question also helps you develop curiosity. Asking every question definitely helps you more. Okay, so that's the 15 laws for you. Let's just quickly summarize what we have covered. I just want to, before I go further, this is a very important one. Be a river, not a reservoir. A river is what actually reaches people and helps people. Reservoir is what allows people to come to it. So when you have grown a particular stage, you are in a particular stage, be a river and reach people and help them to grow. That's the law of contribution. We have seen the poll. Yes. So let's summarize. Start with the intention, increase your self-awareness, improve your self-image, pause and reflect. Convert pain into gain. That's what we have seen, law of pain. Be consistent in growing. So put consistent efforts. Make your environment conducive for growth. So try to use it for your advantage. Don't, I'm not saying that you should manipulate, but make it conducive for your growth. Develop strategies for growth. Law of ladder says character is the foundation for growth. Law of rubber band says stretch your potential. Law of trade-off, understand what kind of trade-off that's coming in your life, because some trade-offs are not helpful. Many are helpful, so you should, but sometimes we don't know. Sometimes you have to take trade-off to realize whether it is good or not. Be curious always. Find a model to follow. Even if you are at the pinnacle of your life, sometimes having someone else as a model, sometimes at least to have like a sounding board helps you to grow further. Expand your capacity. Keep expanding, of course, then help others grow. This is 15 invaluable laws for growth. Gentlemen, again, I want to thank you all for being patiently listening to me for the last 1.5 hours and helping me deliver this particular workshop. I've made this particular book into 15 small videos. It's available in my YouTube channel. You can check about it. And if you want to know more about it, you can always email me personally and I can help you to know more about the John Maxwell team and the books. Thank you again, Vivek, for this wonderful opportunity. Thank you, Mahesh and team. And if you have any questions, any interactions, Mahesh?
Yeah, back to the Master of Ceremonies to take the session forward.
Yeah. So, Meenakshi, this is Sandeep Parkar from Toronto chapter. And I've been trying to... Sorry, Mahesh, you're saying something?
No, I said yes.
Yeah, I mean, you'll get your thank you separately, but I was tracking the comments coming up and I received like, oh, fabulous session. Thank you, so much for sort of bringing you in front of our audience. So thank you, really. I haven't received a specific question. A general question I received so far is whether the recording will be available because how valuable the session was. So just for information of the participants, the recording, as Mahesh informed me, will be available on YouTube. It's been recorded and you should be able to get the link from the respective chapters. In respect of specific topics, Meenakshi, as I said, like I have not received a specific question, but I have a couple of questions for you, if you don't mind.
Please. That will be very good.
And maybe they are very stupid, but...
just one second.
Yeah.
Meenakshi, can you stop sharing the screen and we can get back to the...
Yeah, sure, yes. Thanks for reminding. So yeah.
Continue, Sandeep.
Yeah. So my first question is around the law of mirror, value in yourself, right?
Yes.
And while I appreciate and absolutely confident that we are all world champion level materials, I want to ask you if you would reflect on any downfalls of imagining yourself bigger than what you can achieve, and would it lead to frustration and sort of how to overcome this, if at all, right?
Yeah, that's a good question, actually. See, when I say that you should have a better image of yourself in your mind, there is a downside of it, in the sense if you sometimes you remain confident in every situation, probably that also may lead to arrogance. So there has to be a balance. No doubt about it. You have to find a you have to strike a balance between having a good image of yourself versus being overconfident. Now, see, when you build a self-image, which is based on your values and your strength, and not based on, just a confidence level, what's going to happen is, even if you don't know the subject, you're not going to take a risk of venturing into the scenario. You're not going to jump into that particular conversation without knowing it. So you will probably humble enough to accept that you don't know and you can't take a risk in that particular field unless you develop yourself better. So the image that you should carry in your mind is not about being the champion and you can do it. Yes, that is depending on the situation. Say, I told myself as material ready for that particular challenge because of a particular challenge. But in life, generally, when you talk about the best way to create an image about yourself is based on what values you carry and what are your plus and minuses. Create an image based on that. So that will help you to handle any situation without overstepping or without being overly confident and showing yourself as arrogant. Now that would be my response to you. I don't know whether I answered your question, but this will be my response.
No, thank you, Meenakshi. I really appreciate this. Now we have started receiving questions.
I have a question, Sandeep, if you don't mind.
Yes, Mahesh.
Sorry?
Yeah, I have a question. If you don't mind, I would just directly want to ask to the speaker.
Of course.
Taking the privilege of being the co-host.
We have two other questions, but yes, please go ahead.
Meenakshi, one of the aspects of the topic was to have the quality of humility. Now, we always say that great leaders have this trait of humility, with them, and that is what makes them great. But I don't know whether they always were humble and had this humility right from the time they started from the scratch, or is it that they also started realizing that over a period of time? So whether it is a Bill Gates, or whether it is a Ratan Tata, or whether it is a Sachin Tendulkar, maybe at some stage when they were also learning the ropes of the business, or learning the ropes of the game, perhaps this quality was not there with them, and then over a period of time they realized that it's not just to be good enough in your craft, but I think it is important to also demonstrate humility and utmost respect, no matter who the other person is. So if you want to just elaborate on that, please.
No, actually, yeah, it's a good point. Now, at least, I can't really speak for Bill Gates or, those examples. But Sachin, when you said, I remembered one particular incident. I think it's the Zimbabwe or Kenya. I don't remember a match where Odongo, I think, is a bowler, who got Sachin out in a previous match. And the next match, Sachin came and really thrashed him out. And you could see the response of Sachin on that particular match. And he made a statement, actually. He made a comment. He's also an international player. Now, that comment doesn't fit Sachin's otherwise generally, behavior that generally he exhibits. So it's not that people are always humble. Sometimes situation really takes you, and you may act in a different way. But it is about how many times in your life that you're able to exhibit that particular trait. And that's what probably makes you a better human. One cannot be 100%, there is no perfection. You can't be a perfect human being. It's difficult. You are always a work in progress. So there will be situations where you probably showcase the wrong side of you. Everyone has it. We hide it the best. And as we exhibit it, we learn, and then we polish ourselves. And this is what I think as a response to your question.
Thanks, Meenakshi.
Hope it makes sense.
Thank you.
Thank you, Meenakshi. I've received now 2-3 questions, so we'll see how it goes for the time. But one question I'm seeing is, if you get confused in your pursuit in certain situations, and as you always would sort of talk to different people who have always helped you through, and receive different suggestions coming from different people, how should you proceed? Like, what's the best way to go forward in those situations?
Okay, that's a tough question, actually, because what happens generally, we have this, follow your passion is one of the worst advice that people can give to anyone actually. They say that no, follow your passion. That's what will make you. Generally, we don't know what's our passion. That's what they say. The curiosity makes a difference. Because when you are curious, you will try different things, and then you realize something is more interesting for you, and something is not. Something you feel like your passion, but you may not be good at it actually. That's why when I say that no, you should know where you are and where you have to reach, and what is the price you have to pay. It's very important to know the price. So if you want to do a particular area, you think that's your passion, whether it is really possible or not comes from the kind of price you have to pay. If you can't pay that price, then that's not the worthy passion that you can pursue. Because at the end of the day, the price can be in terms of time that you have to give, or in terms of the effort that you have to put in. Anything can be done. It's no way that any passion that you want to pursue, you can pursue it, but it depends on the effort and time. Is it really worth that kind of a time? That's what you should ask. So people can guide you in different way. You yourself want to do so many things, but put whatever you think is your passion and ask these questions. The important question is, what is the price you have to pay to reach a particular level in that particular field? You don't have to be the top in that particular field, but even if you want to reach, say, 50% of what the top has achieved, what is the kind of price that you have to pay for it? Is it worth your effort? That's what you should ask. That will be my advice.
So thank you,
Hope it makes
Meenakshi.
sense.
And no, it was good advice. And Mahesh, I still believe we have 10 minutes more, right, to sort of go?
Yeah, we maybe have about 5 minutes more, and then we have to go to the closing ceremony.
Okay.
And just a kind request, please switch on your video. We have about 5 minutes before we take the picture. If you want to just get dressed up for a video photo session, please do that. And back to you, Sandeep.
Okay, thank you, Mahesh. Meenakshi, this is a little odd question. In certain situations, especially when working in a corporate environment, there are cases where your coworker, or at times your junior, becomes your boss. And the question is how to sort of deal with that sort of situation. How should one self-assess and sort of self-motivate and sort of go forward, right?
Okay, Mahesh, you want to say something?
No, this is not an odd situation. This is an exact situation that I have now.
But I just wanted to put it in the perspective.
Yeah, this is an exact situation that I have now, where my former, deputy is my client. Okay, so but of course,
that's different actually.
I had always, been in the company of a gentleman like Meenakshi, so I have ensured that I had a good working relationship with my subordinates. So it's not no longer uncomfortable, at this stage. Sorry, Meenakshi, you can go on with the response.
Yeah, it's a very tricky situation. See, I can give an answer based on my understanding, but see, we don't know that person's mindset, the person's situation that person is right now in, because there are so many variables. How he has worked with the subordinate, so that is going to impact the way subordinate is going to treat him. What are the opportunities he has got otherwise? Like, for example, if you can't really work because you're probably treated badly, so the subordinate is going to take revenge on you. I'm just giving an example. Okay, not that it has happened. I'm just giving. So you want to leave the company. That's one option. But you're not in a position to leave the company for whatever reason. And you're not finding another opportunity. Maybe the situation now is that you will not be able to find a immediate replacement job. So you are stuck there. See, in such situations, I will go back to basically Vedanta philosophy, that accept life as it is, and then do your best, leaving whatever has to happen to the God. So that's one way of handling it. But if a normal situation comes and your subordinate is more talented than you, and he is grown to be your boss, it's difficult for you to accept immediately. It's not easy, but you have to grow yourself. You have to accept. You have to start accepting that fact and start working with that person and try and see what you can learn from that person so that you can elevate yourself. Because there's some quality in that person, unless of course he's a relative of the owner, which we can't do anything. But otherwise, if there is a good quality in that person, which has elevated him to that position, probably we can try and learn. It's all difficult. See, personally, advice is the easiest thing to give, but doing is the toughest thing. But I've gone through a situation in my life where the boss was more, I'll say, it's difficult to handle. He was like, his mood changes every few minutes. And what I saw in that particular environment, I can't change the environment because I just joined the company and the passport was with them at that point of time. So I can't leave the place. So what I did, I did is I told myself, I trained my mind to see what I can learn from this place. So one thing that I did to me is that every time there is a pressure tactic applied or a situation where, sometimes he uses very kind of insulting words. I only trained my mind to say that it is being a place for me to practice patience. I'm being put through this to practice patience and develop patience in myself. And it really helped me. I survived for 1.5 years in that environment, the insulting words, without losing my patience, because I trained my mind to accept this in this way. And again, it depends on every person, every situation. You can't take one example and fit in every place. But to give a personal example of how I handle one particular situation, this is how I handled. So probably my advice would be to see what you can pick up from that position till either you leave the place or you grow yourself and prove yourself.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic advice, Meenakshi. In fact, I've seen sort of when I see people growing faster, you always think of what am I missing there, and then sort of take it from there. Yes. So I think Mahesh, we are on the clock for my time at least. Do you want to take it up from here? We still have questions, but unfortunately, we'll not be able to go through them. So what we can do is probably get Meenakshi to probably reach out to them in person, like personal emails and stuff.
Yeah, perfect. I have no problem. If you can email to me, I can reply to them personally or through the chapter. It depends on how you want to do it.
Thank you. Mahesh, you want to take it over?
Yeah, so I request the Master of Ceremonies for the next segment to step in, please.
Thank you, Maheshji. It was a wonderful opportunity to have Meenakshi ji for this webinar. And thank you, Sandeep Patkarji, for taking over the Q&A session. My name is Anjani Ladia, and I'm the chairman for the Luxembourg chapter, which is a small country in the middle of Europe, bordered by France, Germany, and Belgium. And probably still part of the Europe, we have to grow a lot into the European arena. So this session had really come out into a very positive way for the personal learning. We did had some great interactions in a limited time and also through a lot of polling questions. I hope this session was very interesting to you and everyone. And this self-learning topics would have created a lot of curiosity in minds of everyone as well. In due time, we could not take up all the questions because these are new concepts which we were trying to absorb in the short duration. But all your queries, if you have any more, please email it to us, and then we will coordinate with Meenakshi ji and get back to you as well. There were a couple of very important things that stuck instantly in my mind, which I will definitely go back and work upon, was on improve on the self-image, law of mirror, and turn your pain into gain. So for me, I had learned a lot, and I'm sure this was also an opportunity for yourself to take away some key points from this webinar. Said that, before we conclude our today's session, I would like to pass on to Sachin Gupta ji, the chairman of Ireland Dublin chapter, to give the final vote of thanks to the speaker and all the participants. Over to you, Sachin ji.
Thanks, Anjani. Maheshji, do you want to do the facilitation before we do the vote of thanks? Or?
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, Anjani sir. And participants, it's customary for the chapters to present a token of appreciation to our esteemed speaker. And despite all the limitations we had in terms of having a physical session in the last many months, we still continue to do the practice. And we request CA Meenakshi Sundaram to please accept our token of appreciation on behalf of all the participating chapters and their leaders and their members through a virtual certificate of gratitude. I'm now going to share my screen, and I hope in about a couple of seconds you will be able to see this certificate of gratitude coming up on your screen. I can also hear some applause. Thank you, Meenakshi sir. And thank you for the other gentle other participants who applauded. I'm going to now stop sharing the screen and hand control back to Sachin Gupta sir.
Thank you, Meji. Thank you very much. Good evening, all. This is Sachin Gupta. I am the chairperson of the Dublin, Ireland chapter. This is a very new chapter. We have approximately 80 members. So few of us has joined today, this section. And it is my privilege to say the vote of thanks on this occasion. On behalf of the Toronto, London, Ireland, Tanzania, Bahrain, and Luxembourg chapter of ICI, extend my hearty vote of thanks to Honorable CA Meenakshi Sundaram. The way he explained the topic is outstanding. Like personally, like I've learned a lot of things today, like how we deal in the office, and like it is a fantastic session. Sir, we are enlightened with your knowledge or your presence today. And even this cannot be happen overnight. The wheels start rolling few backs, and it requires planning lots of details. We have been fortunate to have this Mahesh Kumar Naranji, chairperson of Bahrain chapter, who help us a lot. Like I, on behalf of all the chapter, would like to thanks to him for his enormous cooperation in this organizing this event. Thank you, Mahesh. And I would also like to thanks to CA Vivek Kapoor from the Toronto chapter, who is taking the lead role to organize this event. Thank you very much, Vivekji. You have taken the very good lead role in this organizing this event. And I heartily congratulate to all the chapters of ICI for their active participation in this event. And as like in the Dublin chapter, we look forward to organize such kind of event where we have the small numbers, and when we do the event like with such a Bahrain chapter, lots of numbers can people can join, and the infrastructure which we are able to use through the Mazy, that was fantastic as well, because it's helped us to learn how to organize the new things, how to organize the webinar. So thank you again, Mahesh. As no program can be successful with a single person, I extend my big thanks to all the participants, because without them, this is not possible. And thank you everyone for making this event very successful with your presence. Once again, I want to state the thanks. We all are most grateful to the CA Meenakshi Sundaram. We thank you for being with us this evening. It was a great pleasure to with you. Thank you very much.
Sachin, I wish to also bring into spotlight our technical support lead, the secretary of the Bahrain chapter, CA Ajay Kumar, who is always going to be a key in all our events, because without him, setting the operations on Zoom and managing it efficiently is a challenge. Ajay, if you want to just say hi to everyone.
Yeah, thank you, Mahesh. But it was a pleasure, I think, hearing Meenakshi ji, our guru, speak is always a pleasure. So just happy to be of assistance. Thank you.
We have to learn lots of things from you, Ajay ji, because whenever we have tried to organize some webinar, very small numbers, we always find so many technical problems. Like sometimes we have to stop it and reschedule it. But I think that today was everything was gone so smoothly, so fantastic. Like it was a learning curve for me at least, and a few members from the ICI Dublin chapter as well. So we can learn the things, how we can organize such a kind of webinar with your all help, and like fantastic.
Right, Sachin and the others, we are going into the photo mode, and Ajay will be clicking the pictures. So if you have set your video on a on mode, then in about 2 to 3 minutes, the photo session will be concluded. Ajay, Ajay, over to you.
So will you say smile?
Yeah.
It's by default. You have to keep smiling now.
You have to be smiling all the time.
Keep smiling.
Just a second. Quite a big screen. We have quite a number of people, so it's great to see. We have more than 100 people. So long.
You can take it in piecemeal.
So if everybody smiles, it'll be more difficult, huh, Ajay?
One advantage is that you don't have to hold your breath.
If everybody smiles, it will go to the miles. How will you capture?
Can you hear me, Mahesh?
Yes. Yeah. The YouTube link has been shared with the respective chapter representatives, and those who have not had a chance to look at be part of this live session. You can always look at the replay and reach out to Meenakshi Sundaram for further clarifications. Meenakshi, just in 2 minutes, can you also perhaps enlighten the participants about this John Maxwell training, and if anybody would want to be a part of this John Maxwell training series, just in about 2 minutes, if it is possible.
Sure, Mahesh. Of course, 2 minutes is very short to explain it, but yes, see, it's actually the different types of training is available. In fact, John is now doing every Monday in his Facebook page. He does a live discussion. Every week he gets one author or a leader, and then they do discuss on different topics. So that's available freely. But otherwise, if you want to join the team to get the materials and the training from the John Maxwell certified members, then you have to register for it. So if I can probably share with those who are interested, if they can email me personally, I can share them the details as to how to proceed further on that. Is it fine, Mahesh?
Right, Meenakshi. So basically, it is one needs to register for this course and then attain the certification.
Yeah, that's right. For certification, of course, there is a fee, and that depends on time and different. They'll come out with different types of certifications in different period of time.
Right.
So if who is interested, if they can touch base with me, I can guide them the right time to get the best benefit.
Okay, Meenakshi. Thank you. Sachin, over to you to conclude the session.
Yeah, no, just thank you very much, everyone, for joining us. So this is from all of us. So, and it is a kind of international chapter, like 6 chapters came together. So it is we are very fortunate to have the Maheshji and Vivek to taking the lead role and to organize the events. And Meenakshi ji, you have explained everything very well. So like might be we will look after again and see the more section from you. So it will be great opportunity for all the chartered accountants in all the chapters here.
Vivek, Vivek, any final words from Vivek? I think we didn't hear Vivek speak today.
No, thank you to all the chapters who cooperated, and really great event. And thank you, Meenakshi, for agreeing to address us. So I was used to listen to Meenakshi's recordings on LinkedIn, which he was posting, and then I thought that instead of getting a piecemeal, our own member is an expert, and our member fraternity can benefit from this. And I proposed the idea to him, and he agreed. And he's been a great source of inspiration for me personally. When he was the chairman, I used to be the secretary in Bahrain, and I learned a lot of things. So thank you, Meenakshi, for all your contribution in our growth.
Thanks, Vivek. You have been a great person.
Thanks.
We learn from each other when we work together.
Yep.
In fact, we have another chairperson who was part of our team. Kapilji also is here.
Yeah.
So we all learned from each other and improved ourselves.
Yeah.
So today, instead of piecemeal, Vivek has tried to give full buffet.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So have a good evening, and for some of you, it could be a weekend. So enjoy the weekend.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Vivek.